Welcome back into the Sports Source. Want to get going in this segment very quickly. Talking about Mike DeBord earlier in the show, we discussed what we liked about the hire. Let's talk about some of those things that some of the folks don't like out there. You've got age, you got the doesn't have a deep knowledge of the zone read, history, and he's been out for the last 2 years, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Not new blood. What don't you like, or what is a fair, legitimate complaint?
Can I jump in one
Yes,
on the age? How old is Nick Saban? He's a little older than Mike DeBord. How old is Steve Spurrier?
South Carolina hired Steve Spurrier at the same age as Mike DeBord, and it's worked out pretty well.
As a senior fellow of seniors, I'm more senior citizen. Mike DeBord's not a senior citizen yet, but he's getting towards that. But I don't see age being a problem.
I don't either.
I'll tell you, if I'm a Tennessee fan, I don't mind the hire so much for him to be the offensive coordinator, but I'm not totally comfortable with him being the quarterback coach. He doesn't have a lot of experience as a quarterback coach. I think if you go back and you read things about him, he's a pretty good offensive line coach. But his experience as a quarterback coach is pretty limited. So if you're going to look for a negative, that to me is a bigger negative than him being the OC.
Well, his former, and I'm just going to give you the boilerplate answer. His former head coach, Lloyd Carr, came out and said he had great connection as offensive coordinator. He dealt with the quarterbacks all the time. And two of the guys who came out and gave their support, Tom Brady and Brian Griese.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Chuck, thoughts on any negatives? Anything worry you?
Well,
legitimate?
Being out of the game, and we talked about this last week, is what kind of recruiter are you getting for such a key position on your staff? And that's what I say again, we don't know. But maybe he can get you into some homes in Michigan, and I think that is another target area.
He has been a former recruiting coordinator at one stop. One thing we said when the new staff came in and met with all the players, if you remember this, they came in and met with them that December. It was right after they were hired. And I remember Mike Stoll and a couple of other guys who went in there kind of jaded because they'd been through this before. And they're like, Butch Jones who? And the word after that meeting was, I'd play for this guy. And we said that following Sunday when Bobby Scott and Sterling Hinton said the same thing. If he can win over these guys, he may be able to win over recruits. And Mike DeBord was a guy, when he came in here and interviewed in 2008, along with Dave Clawson, all the people in that UT athletic department thought he was the hire. They were surprised that Philip Fulmer went with Dave Clawson. He won over people there. Maybe he's better on the recruiting trail than we could ever know. I don't know. We'll see.
But you also don't. Your staff is so strong at recruiting. I think if you get a guy to come in and he's an on-field coach more than an in-the-living-room coach, then I think you can also be okay with that. I mean, You've got guys that can recruit. He doesn't have to be a great recruiter. I'm going to look more at what he does on the field.
Yeah. What are the lack of history and a spread in the zone read, though? What does that bother you?
That doesn't bother me.
Not at all?
No.
Okay.
I would think so many. Well, one, there's some of them are saying now that he helped devise this offense that Butch uses. Whether that's true or not, we don't know. But also, there's so many, that zone read, so much of the principles of that are old football.
Yeah.
I mean, there's single wing stuff involved in this.
Yeah.
So maybe, I'd say if you've been in football, around football long enough, the Mike Marches, you've probably seen everything. But to me, I think that is the most legitimate of all the questions. What is his knowledge of this offense? And obviously, Butch Jones is going to hire somebody he doesn't feel can run it, but I think that's a legit concern.
And also,
All right, Chuck?
play calling.
Well, no, that's not even a concern because nobody's going to like that. No, they're not. They're not going to like it. If you'd hired Steve Spurrier, if Peyton Manning came in as offensive coordinator, it would be 10 plays into his career at Tennessee when somebody said, he's a better quarterback than he should have run right there. Guaranteed. Nobody likes play calling. Nobody. When we come back, will Tennessee really go 2-0 this week in basketball? We'll debate that. Plus, I want to tell you what we got coming up in overtime today. That should be interesting. Come on back on the Sports Source.
Like our set? Turn to Benedict Construction.